What's up, Space Pirates? I am your captain, the Dread Pirate Dr. Disaster, and today we get to revisit the crappiest, most divisive Star Wars movie ever made, a movie lauded by critics at the time it came out, but a movie which has aged about as well as curdled blue milk.
Yummy!
How long have we been saying it? About 6 years now, fans have been trying to tell Lucasfilm they screwed up, but these actors and critics had to pretend that everything Disney did was magic, because this company was their gravy train. This is the danger of monopolies. Not that Disney has a literal monopoly on the entertainment industry, though they do own a lot of it. But the real problem is the fact that every executive in Hollywood clearly thinks the same way, along with all the journalists and critics. They have achieved diversity at a superficial level, with people of all kinds of skin colors, religions, and genders, but there's no diversity of thought. Inside, they are a parade of unthinking zombies who will turn on anyone who isn't one of them.
One of us.
That's why I respect John Boyega here so much. In this video, we are going to have a look at what he said about The Last Jedi in a post by outlet First We Feast, in which he admits, not for the first time, what we have been saying about the film all along. It ruined whatever positivity The Force Awakens had going for it, and it did several characters dirty for no good reason. So grab your favorite zombie slaying implement and don't forget to pack your popcorn, because today we're going hunting for a zombie from our past.
Yo, she-bitch. Let's go.
Alright, so let's take a look at what John Boyega had to say in this video, where he was asked a series of questions. He had a very spicy answer when asked about the Star Wars films he starred in.
Rank the 3 Star Wars films you were in from best to worst. Hell yeah, I do it. Star Wars The Force Awakens is most definitely the best. Second for me comes Star Wars 9, and then the worst, in the most respectful sense, is Episode 8 for me. But they're all lovely.
Oh, you're right. And when you're right, you're right. And you're always right.
The dude gets it. He understands and admits what a colossally shitty movie The Last Jedi was. It divided the fan base in a way which is irreparable, at least while the people in charge of Lucasfilm are still operating it. We'd have to see major changes for most of us to come back. But this is not the first time John Boyega has spoken up about what they did to his character and many of the other Star Wars characters in Rian Johnson's colossal turd of a film. I always appreciated this interview from Hypebeast all the way back in 2019, right before The Rise of Skywalker came out. John Boyega was candid in his thoughts on Star Wars in this article. Ironically, the article discusses how Finn's character was fighting the conformity of the other First Order troopers, though it was Hollywood conformity that ever allowed The Last Jedi to see the light of day in the first place. People just unthinkingly okayed that script. But anyhow, the article says, Finn's character arc in this new Star Wars trilogy has tracked his journey to break away from the conformity of the First Order stormtroopers and discover his own identity. However, the follow-up film The Last Jedi sidetracked that character progression, much to the chagrin of fans and Boyega himself. The Force Awakens, I think, was the beginning of something quite solid. The Last Jedi, if I'm being honest, I'd say that was feeling a bit iffy for me, Boyega says. I didn't necessarily agree with a lot of the choices in that, and that's something that spoke to Mark a lot about, and we had conversations about it, and it was hard for all of us, because we were separated. Boyega has been candid on Twitter about his feelings on Finn's story, and much to his surprise, Star Wars fans have responded to say they craved more of his story. He believes there's more to be told with the character, but not as a standalone project, as he thinks Finn truly shines when he's paired with Daisy Ridley's Rey and Oscar Isaac's Poe Dameron. I guess the original Star Wars films, there was much more of a trio feel, where it was essentially about Luke's journey, but Han and Leia, there was a strong dynamic, which I don't know how quickly we're going to be able to establish that long-term dynamic with Episode 9, but if it's exploring that dynamic, then that would be cool, he notes. I do feel, even after 3 films still, we don't know them as much as we got to know Han, Luke, Leia, and maybe that's a great opportunity to get to know them a little bit more. The article then goes on a tangent about how toxic the fans are, because remember, this was back in 2019. You have to remember that back then, we were being blamed, without evidence, for Kelly Marie Tran leaving social media. That was the narrative, that Star Wars fans were horrible and toxic. Back then, Star Wars fans were still to blame for everything. It was our fault that The Last Jedi was a bad film. It was our fault that Kelly Marie Tran left social media. Star Wars fans were the second gunman on the grassy knoll. Everything was our fault. But a little ways down in the article, Boyega said something more that I really agreed with. Like many fans online, Boyega believes in the themes previously established within the Star Wars franchise, rather than the focus on the realism introduced in The Last Jedi, and would only return to the character if the future story encapsulated those classic characteristics. The banter, the bickering, the undercover romances that then manifest an epic moment. That, for me, is Star Wars. It's not hyper-real or realistic or grounded. Don't do any of that. It's like connection, family, friendship. If they're going to do it in that direction, then absolutely. I couldn't agree more with what Boyega said back then, and gradually the media is coming around to our point of view these days. You can see that the allure of Disney's access is fading. Critics and journalists are slowly admitting that we were right, and John Boyega has been front and center in calling out the awful writing of The Last Jedi. Culturally, he is helping to make it more acceptable to say that these films are pure dog shit. He's normalizing it in a way that these media access journalists resisted for years. In many ways, his language, particularly his body language with the side eye that he gave the camera, is a symbol of our victory in this arena. They have to admit the fan base is divided. They have to admit that The Last Jedi was not good. With every successive failure that Lucasfilm and Star Wars has, it becomes more evident we were right. The Last Jedi was the epicenter of this explosion. But what do you think about what John Boyega said in this video? Drop your thoughts in the comment section and we'll have a chat. Thanks for watching, me hearties. If you haven't already, your captain is inviting you to subscribe to the channel and become a part of the crew. Life as a space pirate may not be glamorous, but there's always plenty of booty.